shortly. I now invite Mr Moynihan to make his opening statement. Mr Moynihan.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you to the Chair and the committee members for inviting us today. In 2023, alone provided support to over 36,000 older people. 12,000 of those were new to our services. The number of support interventions we provided in finance almost doubled in 2023 compared to 2022. Approximately 2,775 people newly assessed by Alone indicated that they had issues with finance. Among them, almost half the issues were about benefits and entitlements. Alone has actively campaigned for over 10 years to have the state pensions and other social welfare payments benchmarked, and we are happy to see it included in the roadmap for social inclusion. The lack of progress in delivering this remains somewhat frustrating. The needs for older people who slowly rely on the state pension and live in or in constant threat of poverty while their housing and other costs spiral. These people form the majority of whom Alone works with every day. Generally, issues with benefits and entitlements means the people do not know they were entitled to a particular support and or need assistance to fill out forms to access the support. Often older people approach us because they are in financial difficulty and it emerges that they are not receiving what they are entitled to. By the time an organisation like ours supports them to secure these benefits, they are often in dire need. In addition to asking the committee to hold the government to account for the promises, we will additionally highlight 3 issues where mean testing that prevents older people from accessing vital supports. They are how means testing and the various eligibility criteria add to the complexity and the inaccessibility of the social welfare system, the inadequate communication of changing means thresholds for social welfare supports, and finally, how household means testing can result in ineligibility for supports people are entitled to. First, one of the major impacts of means testing is that older people simply don't know that they qualify for certain payments because they are not universally supplied. It is not written on an application for your pension that there may be other benefits you are entitled to, and you do not receive a letter in the post to tell you the eligibility criteria for supports have changed. Often people assume they do not qualify for additional supports even when they are experiencing severe financial difficulty. The social protection system is not designed for accessibility for older people in mind. In fact, often it throws up barriers to people accessing support. The range of supports available from the Department of Social Protection and other departments all require different forms. Some have means tests, some don't. The means eligibility varies. Some are applicable at different ages, and the applications are sent by many organisations and government departments. In addition, supports that appear similar to someone not used to them also have very different criteria. The complexity prevents older people from accessing supports that are eligible. It has a severe impact on older people with lower literacy and numeracy skills, including digital literacy, and there are now primary directorate to welfare.ie for information, and also severely impacts older people living alone who may not have a family member to advocate or support them with these complex tasks. Both of these cohorts are likely to experience poverty and social inclusion anyway, and they are doubly excluded by the complexity of applying for support. Secondly, when the income thresholds change for increases, it's not sufficiently communicated by the department. We saw this, for example, when the income threshold for a fuel allowance was increased. Thousands of older people were expected to become eligible for fuel allowance after these changes are still not claiming it. Thirdly, the means testing is also calculated based on household rather than individual income. We see negative impact for this example in cases where older people have been unable to access fuel allowance due to adult children moving back into their parents' home, often to save for a housing deposit, bringing their household means above the means thresholds, even though the adult child may not be contributing. In addition, the means testing to the non-contributory pension for couples sufficiently impacts individual autonomy and independence in older age, not to mention financial security. We are working with a woman, say, for example, who's in her 80s, who lives alone in the west of Ireland. She cannot access the non-contributory pension in her own right. Her husband's pension puts her support income over the means test, even though a significant proportion of that income goes towards her husband's nursing home fees, where he moved last year. Having applied earlier this year, she was denied the non-contributory pension, the living loan allowance and the carer's contributory pension. This case highlights many issues with the state pension system, including the lack of support for carers, lack of independence to provide women who work in the home, and finally the unfairness of means testing for the non-contributory pension. To conclude, if the point of means testing is to limit eligibility and reduce the cost to the state, you can imagine this has been achieved significantly through means testing in its current form, due to the significant administration costs incurred. Furthermore, it prevents older people from accessing supports that they are eligible for and otherwise should be entitled to. In Alone's view, the streamlining of eligibility criteria, the reducing of the levels of mean testing used across the entitlements across the department should significantly impact older people and the ability to know and access the supports they are entitled to, while reducing the administrative cost burdens. This should also be achieved through initiatives such as benchmarking the state pension and ensuring universal accessibility. We thank the committee for this invitation and your time today, and happy to answer any questions.